Good evening. Welcome back into Prime News. I'm Rob Finnerty. We're live in San Francisco, California, where Kamala Harris served as district attorney for almost 10 years. Kamala was in charge of crime, and her record is nothing close to what Democrats wish it was. She ruined lives. She literally ruined lives while she was district attorney and attorney general, like that of Jamal Truelove, an aspiring filmmaker and actor who was wrongfully convicted of murder. He was arrested for the murder of his friend who was shot in a public housing project, his dreams crushed. But a California appeals court overturned that conviction and was eventually acquitted. Truelove's attorneys argue that the police here in San Francisco actually manipulated witnesses into wrongfully identifying Truelove as the shooter. And I sat down with Jamal Truelove today to get his side of his life-changing story. Take a look. Jamal, thanks so much for being with us. I want to go back to 2010. It's verdict day. The jury's deliberated for the last 4 days. You're going to find out if you're going to jail for the rest of your life. By the way, for something you did not do. Kamala Harris is district attorney in California at that time, the first black district attorney. Take it from there. Take me through what happened.
Well, on that day of conviction, I kind of already knew I was convicted before it even came out because the jury asked a question, what's the difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder? So just at the time, in my mind, it was like, how can this happen? How can this be? And what will be the timeline of me potentially, getting back off of this, which is a 99% chance that I don't get back off of this life sentence. So it was eerie. And it was very, it was emotional. One can imagine.
You've said that Kamala had a look on her face. She was laughing, smiling, yeah. Which to me, by the way, which is just very bizarre.
Yes, 100%. So when I did come into the courtroom and sit down, and when you had this whole side on the prosecution side fully packed with all types of attorneys and other people or whatnot. And on my side, it was pretty empty. And Kamala Harris sat front row for when the sentencing came down. And, when I looked back just to see, who was there in general. And you see her front row, kind of in this celebration mode, laughing. We locked eyes one time, and it did feel like, she was laughing at me. That's how I felt. But the laugh was similar to what you see her laugh now, right? Yeah. After any celebration or any, discomfort of any sort, she just laughs. And, now I didn't know that at the time that was kind of like her thing or whatnot, but, I took it personal. That, this lady that is, head district attorney of San Francisco that, is presumptuously black, right, is laughing at me.
Why was she even in the courtroom? Was your case that public here in the Bay Area that she felt the need to be there in the front row on the day that the jury read the verdict?
Yeah, I had a very publicized case because I was previously on a reality show called I Love New York, and it's a murder case. I mean, San Francisco's only 7 by 7. There's not too many murders that's happening, and you have to know that having that on your record, a conviction record of convicting murderers, right, was something that she was running on. And you got to think about, she was running for Attorney General at the time. Right. So for her, at any time she could, celebrate her doing her job or whatnot, then, she made it a point to show up and make a comment after as well.
You going to vote for Kamala Harris in November?
No, absolutely not. I'm voting Trump this year.
Do you feel like there are a lot of people in the African-American community and the black community that feel the same way about Kamala versus Trump now?
Yes, 100%. I mean, what I get from my community, the black community, and I'm not talking about the super, left-wing media black community. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about people everyday people that I see and talk to in rural areas and so forth, that says, the only thing that Kamala's ever did for black people was lock black people up. And that played a big part to our culture. Our culture is known for black people going to jail, coming home, rapping about it, and being celebrated, about it as well. But from what I get from the people that I talk to, that they're not voting for Kamala Harris, and they're not voting for Kamala Harris just because she's black, neither. They're voting for Trump. They don't want to vocalize it in public too much because you get demonized, which in a lot of aspects I'm being demonized right now because I'm going against, the status quo of the black vote, which in the past 2 elections, I believe it was like 90% of black people, voted, Democratic, which I think is just, so far beyond how we really feel on a day-to-day, having conversations about politics, not as a politician, but just from information that we take in.
How long did you spend in jail, Jamal?
I spent 6.5 years in prison.
You'll never get that time back.
I'll never get it back.
Tell me about that.
Well, living in prison is a whole different type of lifestyle that you have to live, right? That you can almost never reflect on once you're free. So it's 6.5 years of not growing, in this world in general. And it also puts a magnifying glass on the life that I was living for the first 23 years, that I can't live that way. And now I was forced to live in prison for 6.5 years, and I can't live that way. And now I have to create a life outside of those two lifestyles, like a newborn, and really relearn, reality for me, and also the exposure to, the mass majority of America, and not just my section.
I've been in San Francisco for a couple of days now. Used to live in California.
Yeah.
Used to spend time up here. Beautiful city.
Yeah.
World-class city.
Beautiful city.
I don't know what's going on now, but it's not the city that I remember.
Yeah.
And I think about, okay, well, who's been in charge here for the last, recent history? Well, it's always been Democrats. You think about Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, former mayor, Kamala Harris, district attorney, attorney general, then ran for the Senate 2016. London Breed, Democratic mayor, running for re-election this year, so she's trying to clean things up. What do you make of what's happened? And I know you split your time between here and Los Angeles for professional reasons and family.
Yeah.
What do you make of what's changed in this city, say, over the last 10 years?
Well, 10 years ago, I was still in prison, which is, crazy. But if I could tell you what I make up of the city now compared to what I anticipated living in when I was coming up in San Francisco, it is not the San Francisco I envisioned to live in. When you look at the homeless problem here in San Francisco, the way that politics have ran rampant over the original San Franciscans and made sure that they prioritize what we call surrogates here in San Francisco is really, it's offensive.
Jamal, you're 39 years old. You've got a bright future. I'm so glad you're able to be with us here and not behind bars.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us. We appreciate you telling your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.